Welcome to the Steroids Podcast with your host, Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. Boom! Boom! Let's get started here. The Steroids Podcast is brought to you by Ultimate Guide to ROIDS, 109-page ebook by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. Now, for the first time in bodybuilding history, you have someone with no corporate interests and no obligation to please anyone, not walking on eggshells to not offend. Ultimate Guide to ROIDS gives you the information, the whole truth, not a full truth and a half truth, full truth. Ultimate Guide to ROIDS gives you the keys to the Lamborghini, gives you the information, and lets you decide what to do with it. It's a crime this information has been suppressed this long. Now let's get on with the podcast.
All right, this is Dan. Welcome back to another episode of my bodybuilding podcast. First thing today is I received a question from someone, and they said, Dan, how are you happy? How do you maintain a positive attitude all the time? So I sent them a voice message, and right now I'm just going to play that voice message so you guys can hear it. Hi, bro. The key to being happy is to tell your body, fuck you, and to tell your body, my mind is in control, motherfucker, and I am doing what I say I'm going to do, and fuck my feelings. Fuck whatever fucking feelings my body sends at me, because those stupid fucking feelings are what's preventing you from being able to do what you want to do with your life. When you want to have your life, see, you got a vision. You got a vision, you can see it in your head. You say, I want this. I want this. But then you say, but I can't do it because it's going to involve too much pain, and I can't put my body through that much pain. I just can't do it. And you have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to say, discipline and respect. Discipline and respect. And then you have to tell your body, fuck you. And then you fucking do what you say you're going to do, and you make your life what you want your life to be. And then you're happy as fuck. Okay, thanks for that question. And the next question for the day is, River asks, with the cycles that I do, 1,200 milligrams testosterone per week, 300 milligrams trenbolone per week, 900 milligrams equipoise per week, would you say that this is steroid abuse? I'm thinking it's an average compared to other dosages that people use that you have mentioned in the podcast. Yeah, I'd say that what you're doing right now is pretty normal as far as guys who are, because the guy who's asking this, he really wants to be like a big bodybuilder. And so, you know, it's normal. What he's doing, it's like, that's what guys normally that have that kind of goals, that's the kind of stuff that they're taking. So he's not alone in that. But he says, is what he's doing, is that steroid abuse? Absolutely. I mean, so what he's doing, the kind of steroid use that he's doing, is definitely toxic to his body. He's hurting himself with this. And, is he hurting himself acutely in a way that is going to, have him keel over dead tomorrow? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's a similar thing to, like, if you are drinking alcohol on the weekends and you're drinking 10 drinks or more, is that alcohol abuse? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not doing things. It's doing things in a way that's going to hurt you. That's going to hurt your health. Is that going to, people who are, binge drinking on the weekends and, they do that, 1 or 2 days a week. Is that going to make them keel over dead tomorrow, next year, 5 years later, 10 years later? No. But is it hurting them? Yeah. And they're abusing a substance. So, controlled use, having 2, 3, maybe 4 drinks in a night, is like controlled use. And is that abusing alcohol? Not really. But having 10 to 20 drinks, is that abusing alcohol? Yeah, you're definitely abusing alcohol. And so it's the same thing here. If you're using testosterone at a dosage that's like 1 to 600 milligrams per week, is that a dosage that's acutely hurting you? Well, we have a lot of studies that show that those dosages don't really hurt you. So we have studies of guys doing 24-week cycles, 20-week cycles, on 600 milligrams of testosterone with more than 600 study participants, and really no negative side effects to doing that. For 24 weeks, 20 weeks, 4 to 6 months ish, that's pretty long term. So and then in America, for example, you can be prescribed TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, between 1 to 400 milligrams per week. Testosterone Cypionate is what doctors prescribe in America. So I personally think that going if you're going to be a hormone user and you're using the natural hormones and you're going between 100 milligrams to 600 milligrams per week of testosterone, then I wouldn't call that steroid abuse. I would call that steroid use, right? But if you're using other stuff, if you're using other hormones, if you're using, stuff in ways that is going to hurt you, it's hurting your health, it's not good for you, it's abuse. It's the same thing, with any of these substances. You have the marijuana. You take a couple puffs on a joint at night, or you have a bong rip at night. Is that abuse? Not really, but are you smoking marijuana all day? Are you waking up, you're smoking before you do everything you do? You're smoking at night, or smoking all night, a shitload. Is that abuse? Fuck yeah, it's abuse. Is that hurting you? Yes. If you think it's not, get real. All right. Same thing with, we were talking about the vape last time. If you're taking a few puffs on a vape per day, is that going to be a problem? No, I don't, that's not really, you're not abusing anything. But if you're sucking on that thing all day, is that going to fuck you up? Yes, your lungs aren't going to be functioning right. A good example of this too would be, especially for guys, because there's a lot of it's politically incorrect in the stoner community. Guys, I went to University of California, Santa Cruz. Okay, so I was in the lived in the fucking capital of the stoner community. Okay, so if you look at a bong, okay, and I want to say too that it's very unpopular among stoners to say that there's anything unhealthy about using marijuana. Absolutely nothing, which is such bullshit. Okay, and a lot of steroid users have this problem too. That's why I'm talking about this. Okay, because I admit that there, with marijuana, there's certain applications where it can be healthy. Okay. And it can definitely be used, for helping people that have cancer and shit, to be healthier, instead of fucking dwindling away. It allows them to eat. And then also, small amounts of it can be good for people's mental health, but large amounts for it, definitely bad for people's mental health. Okay. So, look for the people that are saying, there's nothing harmful about marijuana. Nothing. And you want to bet? Well, show me the evidence. All right, here's your fucking evidence, okay? Look at the bong after you've been smoking it in a week and you haven't cleaned it, okay? Well, there's one end of the smoking system, of the device, okay? What's the other end of the device? It's your fucking lungs, okay? So you look at the bong, look at the way the bong looks, okay? Your lungs look the same way, okay? They look the same way. That's the other side of the system. Okay, so if you're smoking every day, okay, does that bong look real nice and clean? Does that thing look like, oh my God, if that's what it looked like inside my lungs, I'd be fucking myself up? Well, that's what you've got in there, okay? That's why you got the cough. That's why you got the cough. That's why you got the smoker's cough, okay? Is because that shit that you see in the bong is also what, if you looked in your lungs, you'd see in your lungs, okay? So no more delusions about like, oh, what I'm doing has nothing bad about it. Show me the evidence. There's your fucking evidence, all right? And so it's the same thing with the steroids, right? And so this was a thing for me too. You know, for a lot of years, I was in denial about my steroid use. Okay, and I was like, no, there is nothing. It makes me laugh these days. Like I just can't even believe where my head was. But I was like, there is nothing unhealthy about these steroids. You can take, I basically believed I could take an unlimited amount of these steroids and there is nothing harmful to my health about it. Nothing. And I'm not looking at my blood work either. I'm not going to go look at that bullshit. Okay? Talk about delusions, man. Talk about fucking delusions. So, a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of steroid users have this belief, where it's like, no, motherfucker, I'm more healthy. I'm more healthy than the normal people. You're not. Okay. And also you're so much more sensitive to doing unhealthy things if you're a steroid user, if you're a steroid abuser, and you are doing you're pairing this with other unhealthy activities, like pairing it with smoking, pairing it with eating a bad diet, pairing it with using recreational drugs. Okay, you are so much more unhealthy than the average person, okay? Like, yeah, you got one good factor going on. You exercise. So there's one good thing that's helping you be healthier than the average person, and that's about it. You're abusing steroids. Maybe you're abusing other drugs, legal or illegal drugs. I don't know. Maybe, you're abusing diet, trying to live the beautiful life where you can take the steroids and that's your cheat code. And then you can get away with all this other shit. And then you can have this cheat life where you've got the body and you've got the pride. All right, motherfucker, that kind of shit is just unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Really, that's so social media. So that's kind of what I'm coming back to with this thing of like, can I take 1,200 milligrams test? Can I take 300 milligrams tren? Can I take 900 milligrams equipoise? Can I take blah, 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 blah? And is that steroid abuse? Of course it's fucking steroid abuse. Okay? But pick your battles. All right? So you want to take steroids. You want to take steroids, huh? Well, are you willing to have a clean diet? Are you willing to do the exercise? Are you willing to do the cardio? Okay. Keep your circulatory system healthy. Are you willing to stay away from the vices? Are you willing to stay away from the drugs that everybody else is partaking in? Because it's a lot worse for you now, bro. It's a lot worse for you now because you made the choice to take the steroids. So if you think you can just live like everybody else, you supercharged your engine. You turned your Toyota and you put a fucking fat supercharger on it, okay? And that thing can't take unleaded gasoline anymore, okay? It can't take the normal oil anymore. It can't take it's got to have all the fucking premium shit flowing through it right now because of what you did to that car, what you did to that engine. And if you don't, then that shit is going to get fucking clogged. Okay. And where the engine would have lasted 30 years. Well, now it only lasts 15 years. All right. If you're going to be doing that shit to it, if you're not taking care of it, that, with the Ferrari, with the supercharged car, you got to baby that thing. You got to be like, well, what's going into this thing? You got to be meticulous about what's going into the machine. What's going into the machine. If you start putting all the normal shit in it that you were putting in that before you supercharged it and before you upgraded that engine, you put all the normal shit that you put into the Toyota, into the Ferrari, that thing gets fucked up. Okay? So don't go being a dumbass taking steroids and then being like, yeah, I just supercharged my car. I just turned my Toyota into a Ferrari. And now I'm going to go put the unleaded gas in it. I'm not putting the premium fuel in it. I'm not putting the good oil in it. I'm not doing the tune-ups to it that are required of it. I'm just treating this like a beater. I'm treating it like a Toyota Corolla. I'm treating it like a Honda Civic. I got a Lamborghini, I got a Ferrari, and I'm treating it like a Honda. Dumbass. All right. So you gotta be realistic here, okay? So if you're gonna supercharge the engine, okay, that's one risk you're exposing yourself to. Now you got to take away the other risks, or else, yeah, you're gonna hurt your health. All right. Can you abuse steroids? And can you do that for a long time and live for a long time? Well, yeah, probably. Everybody's got different factors. Everybody's whenever you do any kind of risky behavior, you're always spinning the wheel. You're spinning the barrel on the revolver on your Russian roulette. All right, and you're taking risks. So you go skateboarding. Well, you don't wear a helmet. You take that risk. Well, you could have a freak accident. You could fucking give yourself brain damage. Okay. You go play football. You wear the helmet. Well, you could fucking get a few concussions, man, and you could start getting CTE and getting plaques growing inside your brain, right? And get your brain fucked up. You can have your knee ligaments get destroyed, and you can have your leg never work as good again for the rest of your life. All right. You go do many different activities, and they've all got risks. Okay. Some have got higher risks than others. So you got to evaluate your risks with the activities that you want to do. And then you got to make decisions, and you got to try to make everything be as safe and as healthy as possible. Okay. And you got to go live your life, go chase your dreams. All right. But don't be realistic about what you're doing. Know what you're doing, study it, learn about it, and do it as healthy as possible. Reduce the risks as much as possible. All right. So if you're going to abuse steroids, which is what bodybuilding is, okay, you got to abuse steroids. You're taking your body past the natural limit. You're taking past what it can do naturally. You're making that body bigger than the organs were meant to support. You're using drugs to make this possible. You're lifting more weights and putting more strain on your body in the gym than your body could possibly do without being on drugs. Okay. Well, see, these are the risks that you're exposing yourself to. I'm not saying don't do it. There's lots of risks with every other activity. You go drive your car down the street, you could get in a car accident tomorrow and you could be dead. Okay. You go fucking fly in a plane could fucking crash and you could be dead. Okay. But you take calculated risks, you go live your life, and you go chase your dreams. All right. But you try to limit the risks as much as possible and be smart. All right. And we don't try to hide this stuff or stay away from this stuff. Be like, no, it's nothing. There's no risk. Lying to yourself. That's dumb. That's just dumb. So be like, don't hide. Don't try to hide things from yourself. Yeah. Bodybuilding is a dangerous sport. Powerlifting is a dangerous sport. Riding motorcycles is a dangerous activity. Going surfing is a dangerous activity. Going scuba diving is a dangerous activity. Driving in your fucking car is a dangerous activity. You can die doing all of them. Minimize your risks. Be smart. All right, next question. Joel asks, got a question, bro. I've been on testosterone cypionate 200 milligrams for 10 weeks now. If I was to come off, do Do you think it would be a good idea to just take nothing for a month instead of a PCT? However, during this period, I'd be taking clenbuterol. It's my first cycle. I want to jump straight back on after a month with Cypionate again and use MASTERON and Anavar. Okay, so you've been on Testosterone Cypionate 200 for 10 weeks. So that didn't do anything negative to your health, bro. You should go. You want to go check that out? All right. Well, go take a metabolic profile, comprehensive metabolic profile, and get a complete blood count. And that'll give you the results about what's happening with your blood and organs. All right. So we can take a look at the quality of your blood and the function of your organs and what's going on, right? 10 weeks on a dosage that is commonly prescribed by doctors. I don't think we need to go get a cardiac scoring scan on you and see if you put down any plaque. I don't think we need to do a stress test echocardiogram where you're running on the treadmill with your heart going 180 beats per minute and then having a cardiologist look inside your heart while that was happening and see if all the valves and switches are good or if anything's grown. This was a prescribable therapeutic dosage of testosterone that you used for a short period, 10 weeks. I don't think we need to go do that in order to check your health. I think it's safe to assume that if your blood and organs are all functioning good and you got good quality there, that you're fucking healthy, okay? So if you want to look at that, you can go look at that. You can get a complete blood count and a comprehensive metabolic profile, and we should be able to see, that you're pretty freaking healthy because, as we talked about before, taking 100 to 600 milligrams of testosterone per week has been extensively studied for over 20 weeks and with large sample sizes of study participants. And the blood work is nothing's wrong with it, except a few guys, some of the guys had some cholesterol issues. Well, if you talk to me about how to fix your cholesterol issues, I can help you fix your cholesterol issues, all right? And out of anything that you can do, the biggest thing that you can do is your cardio that you don't want to do, but you said that you wanted to be on steroids. You made the commitment that you wanted to be on steroids. So now you can't be a little bitch anymore and say that you're not going to do your cardio. Well, I don't want to do my cardio. I hate cardio. Grow up. Okay. So you got your first, that was your first cycle. You want to go off for a month so you want to go off for a month after 200 milligrams of testosterone. Like, why? Because here's the thing. If you go off for a month, it's going to clear out of your system and you're going to be like on zero testosterone. But like you didn't hurt your health on that 200 milligrams of testosterone. And now you're going to go off the cycle and go to like 0 milligrams testosterone because your natural system is shut down. But like, why would you want to wake your natural system up while being off testosterone by taking PCT drugs? So you're taking like Nolvadex and Clomid to like bring your natural brain system back on, your brain hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis back on. But then as soon as you start taking steroids again after 1 month, boom, it's all back off again. Boom, it's all back off instantly. So what you could do is you could just take some HCG, which will just directly communicate with your testicles and make them start functioning again. If you're worried about your balls, you could take that. That works while you're on cycle. That works while you're on TRT. That works while you're taking testosterone steroids, okay? You can take the HCG at the same time, 500 IUs every other day, 250 IUs every other day. Or you could take 1,000 IUs every other day. Depends on what you're looking to do, okay? And you can get your balls functioning back again, making testosterone, making sperm, okay? So you could do that instead of, and HCG isn't toxic, but there's some toxicity to Clomid and Nolvadex. So that's why I'm like, why would you do that? And then you're just going to like instantly shut it off again when you go on another cycle, which you said you were going to do after a month of doing that. That's not logical to me. And then you wanted to get on, testosterone, MASTERON, Anavar. That sounds like a good idea. So your first cycle was 200 milligrams of testosterone cypionate. Well, if it was me in your shoes, what I'd do for this next one is I'd go 400 milligrams testosterone cypionate. I'd take 10 milligrams of Anavar morning and night, or I'd do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'd take, why do you want to take MASTERON? Do you think it's going to make you ripped and hard? Because it's not. There's all this ridiculous, hilarious advice on the internet about how you're going to get so dry and you're going to get so hard and you're going to get so ripped taking MASTERON. What you're looking for is a low carbohydrate diet. And then you got all these idiots who have never probably even used MASTERON, but they've read about steroids on the internet, and now they repeat something that they've read, hiding behind avatars on forums. And now you think taking MASTERON is going to make you ripped and hard and dry. That's what a low-carb diet does. Okay, so what MASTERON does do really good, and this is pretty much all it does, but it does it really good, is it puts a thick oil slick on the surface of your skin, which makes your skin shiny, especially when you sweat. And it makes you really horny mentally. It's not like Viagra, where it just does something to your dick. It does something to your brain instead, okay? So it makes you want to have sex a lot of times during the day, basically, is what MASTERON does. And then the other thing is that it gives you some more energy. It gives you like a kind of a caffeine feeling. It's an androgenic stimulant on your brain because it's kind of like injectable DHT, okay? So it makes you have more adrenaline, more resting adrenaline, all right? It's probably going to increase your resting heart rate a little bit, especially if you use it at the normal dosages that people are using, like 100 milligrams every other day. If you won't really get those androgenic stimulant effects much if you're using it at a low dose, like 50 milligrams every other day or 100 milligrams twice a week or something like that. All right. Okay, next question. Todd asks, hey, Dan, tell me how many calories should I be getting in if I work a labor job 12-hour days, train like an animal, and eat really clean? I've been on 3,800 to 4,000 and not really adding much weight. I can tell you what's wrong right there, okay? You're working a 12-hour labor job and you want to gain weight and you're eating really clean. That's impossible. That's impossible. Okay? So that 12-hour labor job, you are burning like so many calories, dude. So many calories. Like exercising, dude. Like how much calories is someone burning per hour exercising? Well, not less than like 300. And you say that you're doing that for 12 hours a day? Bro, you're burning like 3,000 calories plus moving around per day. And then maybe maybe I don't know how much you weigh because you didn't say, but maybe you weigh 180 pounds, 200 pounds, less than 100 kilograms. And you say you're eating 3,800 to 4,000 and you're not really adding much weight. Well, that's not a surprise. I mean, I would think that you'd barely be maintaining your weight doing that. Okay. And so, when you've got a guy your size who's got to be, and he's moving around that much, being that active, 3,800, 4,000 calories is nowhere near as much as you're going to need to gain weight. All right. So he goes on to say, I know they say eat more, but 4,500 to 5,000 just seems overkill. Not for you. And I'm on a cruise at the moment. What happens when I blast? Then I'll be having to go up. Or he says, what happens when I blast? Then I'll be having to go up to 6,000 calories. Just doesn't sound healthy. By the way, you're looking swole, King. Keep doing you, bro. Peace. Thank you. Thank you, bro. So I'm not talking down on you also, okay? So I'm saying these things. I'm not talking down on you. Thanks for the kind words. I'm just being realistic here, all right? And a lot of other people have this problems too, the same problems as you. That you're not like the only guy I'm saying this to. There's so many guys who come to me with the same problem. So yeah, bodybuilding is not healthy. Like you said, eating 6,000 calories a day, not normally going to be healthy. Being bigger than you're supposed to be, your body bigger than your organs are supposed to support, not healthy. Taking a bunch of drugs to get like that, not healthy. Lifting loads that you wouldn't be able to lift if you weren't on drugs, not healthy, okay? Doing sports at a high level, at an extreme level, is not healthy. It's not healthy. Contrary to popular belief, most all the sports stars, the pro athletes do not live into their 90s, do not live to 100, do not live to 80. Most of them are dying in their late 50s, early 60s. That's what's common mortality age for serious athletes, pro athletes that took it to the limit for 30 years. Okay, that's what's common. So we got to be realistic here. So doing extreme bodybuilding, if you want to do that and you want longevity, well, then you've got to be like, hey, well, I'm doing this for 5 years. Hey, well, I'm doing this for 10 years max. Hey, I'm doing this for 15 years. And then I'm out. You got to cut it. You got to retire. You got to be a smart pro athlete. You see some of these superstar pro athletes and it's like, oh, well, they only had a 6-year career. Why did they retire right when they were on top? This is why, bro. This is why. Okay? They have other priorities. They value like longevity and living a long life higher than it's not, life wasn't just being a sports star to these guys. So that's why you're like, why would he do that? I'm sure if you follow pro sports, you've got guys like this where you're like, why would he do that? Why would he retire? And you don't understand. This is why he didn't want to. He knows, he figured it out that going crazy with sports and taking it to the limit, for decades kills you. That's just the reality. Okay. So like you said, taking it up to 6,000 calories is not healthy. True. But bro, for your situation and for your goals, that's what you got to do. And there's only one way to do it. You got to eat stuff that is, you can do it as healthy as possible. You can do it healthy as possible, but it's not going to be like, chicken and rice and stuff like that. In order to do it the healthiest way that you can, the best way to do it is going to be beef and rice, basically, like Stan Efferding style vertical diet. All right. You got intra-workout sugars. So you're having that high octane gasoline when you need it. And you're pushing those hard intra-workout sugars like dextrose, glucose. And then in the other times of the day, you're pushing things like fruit juice. Okay. A little bit of fruit juice. Okay. That was a joke. I'm not saying you're pushing fruit juice all day. Okay. But you're going to be having a little bit of fruit juice during the day. Okay. And then you're going to be pushing hard stuff like, not lean beef. Beef that has a significant amount of fat on it with stuff like rice, okay? So that you can push those calories way up there and do it as healthy as you can. And you know what? You're probably going to be having some McDonald's sometimes and shit too, okay? Just being realistic in order to get your 6,000 calories. Because you figured it out. You know what you have to do, and that is what you have to do in your situation. You're a guy who's doing a labor job 12 hours a day. All right. Darren asks, what time frame have you found to work for time off of Tren Ace? I did 8 weeks of Tren Ace at 75 milligrams every other day. That's a pretty good dosage. That's like 250 milligrams-ish per week. And I'm 6 weeks post-cycle and wanting to jump back on. Just adding Tren to a test probe HRT, hormone replacement therapy dose, and it worked like a charm. Yeah, that does work good. So that was basically, he's probably running about 75 milligrams test probe, 75 milligrams Tren Ace, like equal dosages kind of every other day. And, how much time off. So it really just, when people ask me this question, how much time off? Well, I can say, this is the most clear way that I can say it to you is, what's the minimum time that's going to benefit you? Well, a month. A month off is going to stabilize your blood. It's going to stabilize your organ function. All right. And get you back to like baseline health. Okay. And then if you're like, well, how long do I want to stay off? And I want to be like having healthy, but not going backwards. You could say like 3 months. Because if you stay off longer than 3 months, then you're pretty much going to start going backwards. All right. So you have a range here now of like 1 month off to 3 months off, where you're being realistic, you're not going backwards, and you're being like, here's the minimum time that I can be off to get some benefit, have a health benefit from being off 1 month. And here's the maximum amount of time that I can be off 3 months without really going backwards. And more time off is always going to be more healthy than more time on, because that's just the way it is. These aren't healthy things to be doing. And taking drugs. No shit. So you gotta figure out then, well, how much risk do I want to expose myself to? And how anxious am I? You said you're at 6 weeks. That's pretty normal. Like 6 to 8 weeks off. That's kind of like an intermediate range of time being off, where it's like, of course, if you're really into bodybuilding, you don't want to spend a bunch of time off steroids because, well, that's going to fuck up your progress. You can't progress the way that you do when you're on steroids, if at all, depending on how advanced you are when you're off steroids. So, if you are somebody who is like, well, I'm going to do this the healthiest fucking way possible, well, then 3 months is pretty realistic. If you're someone who is being like, I'm going to do this bodybuilding the fastest way possible, and I don't want to stop. But you know what? I do value my health, and so I'm going to do the minimum required to help my health. Then you can be like, okay, 4 weeks off. Okay, and it's like, I can fit that in there. I can fit 4 weeks off of steroids. Okay, and you'll benefit from that. And then if you're someone who's in between, you're in the medium, you're intermediate range, and then you can be like, yeah, 6 to 8 weeks off, So that's what I think. Okay. Levi says, I've gotten my hands on UGL test cypionate and was wondering if my first cycle being 250 milligrams testosterone a week would be too weak of a first cycle. What's your goals? So you're going to have like twice the testosterone levels of a normal dude, okay, on 250 milligrams testosterone per week. But maybe not even that much, maybe like 1.5, compared to like a high testosterone natural, And so, well, steroids require super physiological dosages to get super physiological effects, okay? So this kind of like thing where like you're getting crazy gains from low doses, that's not really a thing. That's why we say super physiological. What are the effects of super physiological dosages of testosterone? Not natural doses of testosterone. That's what we mean. That's what produces bodybuilding, not natural. Not natural dosages of testosterone, super physiological dosages of testosterone and anabolic steroids. Okay. So when you're saying, would it be too weak? It's going to be like a supplement that works. So, maybe the way that you thought creatine might be before you used it, and you were thinking like, oh, this creatine stuff seems like pretty good. Like this stuff might fucking work. It's not going to make you Superman. It's not going to make you Superman, but it's like, yeah, you took it and you kept on doing everything like to the letter, and then you added that supplement in creatine, and you expected that like you'd get a pretty damn good result, but then you took the creatine and it was like, oh, you got a little bit of results, all right. So you could probably be expecting more on your 250 milligrams testosterone per week to be getting the results that you were expecting before you took the creatine. When you were reading the marketing and the advertising about the creatine, you were like, this stuff looks like it's going to work. Yeah, I'm going to get some gains from this. And it's going to be like, a nice step up. It's not just going to be like, well, yeah, I got a little bit of gains. It's going to be like, yeah, I definitely got gains. And I took a step up because I took this shit. Okay, that's what it's going to be like, okay? But are you going to be like, you're on steroids, you're on 250 milligrams testosterone, you're getting crazy pumps, you're getting crazy energy, you're burning fat, you've got an erection all day? No, okay? That's not realistic. So it depends on what you want. And if you're asking this question, you probably should listen to some more podcast episodes because we've gone over this a lot. Jason asks, hey, Dan, just started my first cycle. Let me know your opinion. 105 milligrams testosterone cypionate, weekly split into 3 doses a week. 800 IU HCG split to 2 doses a week. 1 gram of anastrozole split to 2 doses a week after testosterone HCG tests and 30 milligrams shots and 30 milligrams of Anavar daily for 8 weeks. Thank you in advance. Love the podcast, by the way. Great information. That's really low testosterone. And, 105 milligrams test sip weekly split to 3 doses a week. Okay, well, like 30% of the milligram weight of the testosterone is like with that cypionate ester is going to be like the cypionate ester. So there's really only like in that 105 milligrams of testosterone cypionate, there's like 70-ish milligrams of testosterone and like 30-ish milligrams of cypionate ester. So the average natural male produces 10 milligrams of testosterone per day. So you're basically just replacing your own natural testosterone with that. You know that, right? And then, but then, you're using the HCG too. Okay, so you're kind of replacing your natural testosterone with the HCG, and then you're kind of adding an extra man's testosterone in. So you got like something like 2 times the natural man's testosterone going on here. So I can accept that. I don't think you really need to take 3 doses a week of the testosterone, because as long as with testosterone cypionate and ananthate, as long as you got like 2 doses in per week, that pretty much makes the blood levels pretty consistent. And then you say you're taking the Anavar 30 milligrams daily for 8 weeks. If it was me, I would take that breakfast, lunch, and dinner to partition peak the Anavar steroids when the food peaks. What do steroids do? They increase the dietary accumulation of proteins. Okay, so that's how you build muscle, is you increase the muscle is built out of protein. When you eat meat, what is the main macronutrient in the meat? It's protein. So what do steroids do? They increase the amount of proteins from your diet that you accumulate in your body, which means more muscle tissue on your body. So I would definitely want the steroids to be peaking in my blood when the food and protein was peaking in my blood from each meal. So I'd take the orals that peak, they have a peak and then they drop in a matter of hours. I'd want to take those and make them peak when the food that I ate also peaked in my blood in order to get the best effects of accumulating dietary proteins, okay? Using the anabolic steroids. So that's the way I'd do it. You just wanted me to let you know my opinion. I give you my opinion. All right, Archie asks, hey Dan, huge fan of your podcast. I was wondering if you reckon this would be a good cycle for me. I'm currently 90 kilograms at around 15% body fat, 1 gram testosterone nanthate, 400 milligrams deca, then throw in 50 to 100 milligrams anadrol from week 5 to 9. Well, that sounds totally normal for a guy your size, and he's really going at it, and he wants to give it everything he's got. And he's serious about his goals. That's pretty average. That's pretty normal. If you talk to the other guys in your situation in the gym, on the internet, you might have a bunch of morons, or maybe they're not morons, but they're just, they're just people, and saying like this dogmatic thing, repeating like parrots what everybody else is saying, like, you don't need to use that much. You only need to use 500 milligrams testosterone a week. And it's like, well, you could make gains on 500 milligrams testosterone per week. You could. But is that actually what most people in the real world in your situation are doing? No. And can you make faster gains while sacrificing some safety using more? Yes. And is that what a lot of guys are looking for? Yes. So do I think you're doing anything crazy? No. I think you're doing what everybody else is doing, who's being realistic. The guys in the gym who are making the kind of gains that you want to do. Are you doing it the absolute most safest way that you possibly could and still be able to meet your goals? No. Okay? So I'm not saying, this is one of those things where it's like, well, it's up to you, man. You got to say how much risk you want to be exposing yourself to. In my bodybuilding career, did I do it like that, the way that you did? Yes, I did. Yes, I did do things like being 90 kilograms and taking that much testosterone and deca and maybe throwing in some Anadrol, 50 to 100 milligrams for 4 weeks. Yes, that would be something that would have been totally normal for me, totally normal for a lot of other guys, and is widely done by a lot of people. Most people are not doing it in the most slowest, most healthy way that's humanly possible to take steroids, that people are saying it's the only way to do on the internet. It's the only way to do. And you know what? A lot of those guys, you have no idea what they even look like anyways. And then a lot of people who are, saying that they're doing that or doing less than that or whatever, they're just lying. So you're not doing anything like outrageous. You're actually just like totally average with what you're doing. Okay, Wiley asks, hi bro, message for the podcast. I'm currently coming end of my cycle, 50 milligrams Anavar, 50 milligrams Winstrol, 750 milligrams testosterone cypionate. I always cruise about 500 milligrams testosterone cypionate. Issues I'm having at the moment is during sex, I'm losing my erection, wondering if Proviron would solve this problem. I can take half of Viagra and it works great, but get sore headache. I get a headache from Viagra, so rather see if I can fix this. Okay, well, yeah, Viagra has side effects, but Cialis doesn't. So tadalafil, if you're getting headaches from Viagra, try tadalafil because usually it doesn't do that. Viagra is like a really broad spectrum phosphodiesterase inhibitor, and tadalafil, Cialis, is not very broad spectrum. So it's more just like focused on the phosphodiesterase enzymes in your dick. So it doesn't really give side effects the way that Viagra does. So the first thing I'd say is use that. Proviron mostly increases mental sex drive. It works a little bit, as far as like erection or something, but not really. That's not really what it's doing. It's a mental thing that Proviron, MASTERON are doing. Yeah, but and also, if you're having issues with the erection quality, a lot of times it's going to be like an estrogen issue, like getting your estrogen control really dialed in and knowing exactly how to manipulate those levels to make you feel your best. A lot of times that's going to solve those kind of like sexual dysfunction issues. All right. Okay, Michael asks, hey brother, longtime listener here, recently started getting severe indigestion on cycle. My cycle is testosterone propionate, trenbolone acetate, Superdrol. I removed the Superdrol to see if it helps, and if it doesn't, I'll back the trend down. Haven't heard you talk about this side on your podcast before. Any advice? Yeah, well, what I usually recommend on the podcast is to first go with baking soda. So like a 1 tablespoon baking soda and water as a shot, which just neutralizes the acid. So if you've got like acid coming up into your throat, you can just completely neutralize that by, taking baking soda, which is super alkaline. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you could take famotidine, which has the added benefit of, being a chelating agent for calcium plaques in your circulatory system, meaning that it can absorb and remove calcium ions. But it also is an antacid that reduces indigestion, acid reflux, GERD. And so then the other thing is that, in the order of things that give acid reflux in bodybuilding, you can kind of go at it like this. Trenbolone number 1, orals number 2, clenbuterol number 3, metformin number 4. If you're running any of those things, those are going to be like, agents that are causing acid reflux and indigestion. So if you're having problems, you can try one of those remedies that I was talking about, or you can start removing those chemicals. With Tren, they all cause it. Yeah, Tren, orals, Clen, metformin, they all cause it, man. But Tren is probably the worst one about causing it. Yeah. All right. Next question. Hey, Dan, I'm loving the podcast so far. I bought the book, Ultimate Guide to ROIDS.
What do you think of 500 milligrams testananthate, 300 milligrams equipoise for the first week of a cycle, and then 750 milligrams test E, 300 milligrams equipoise, then 25 milligrams Winstrol a day for 4 to 6 weeks after, and then back down to 500 milligrams test, 300 equipoise till I hit 12 weeks for a first cycle? I like it. I like, ramping up the way that you do during the cycle, but I wouldn't ramp down at the end because I just don't think it's necessary. And, usually people at the end of their cycle is when they want the most firepower. At the end of the cycle, they want it to be going the strongest, and they've worked hard and they want to look their best. They're in a position where they can look their best, and just simply going down in the gear doesn't really follow with that whole line of thinking. So I wouldn't do that as far as it coming down at the end, but I do think it's a good general idea in cycles to like kind of ramp up as the cycle goes on. And that's a lot of advanced guys. That's the way that they do it. Again, you won't really hear that so much on the internet so much. You'll hear more just like, oh, well, this is the cycle, and like you stick to it like a religion or something like that, the whole time, and you never change a thing. But in the real world, that's not what people are doing. When you talk to people in the real world, especially guys that are having a lot of success, that's not really the way it usually goes. It's usually the cycles get stronger as they go on. And I like the way, maybe you could go 500 test, 300 equipoise, and then go 750 test, 300 equipoise. And then for the last 4 weeks, you could go 750 test, 300 equipoise, 25 Winstrol, and that would be your 12-week cycle. That's probably how I would do it if I was you. All right. Blackballin asks, hey man, found you on YouTube. Never been to Thailand. I bet that's dope. I was in the military, been quite a few places, but never seen Thailand. But I'm hitting you up because I'm really interested in the first cycle with my lab rat. He's 6'3", 306 pounds. Trying to get a lean body with gains, aiming target weight is 240. Thanks, bro. Love your podcast. Listen to it all the time. Okay. First thing here is that steroids, you think when you're natural, I'm going to go on steroids and all my fat is going to melt off my body. But nothing could be further from the truth. The main thing that steroids do is build your body up, increase the mass of your body, make you more hungry, add to your body. Okay. So if you want to take steroids and the reason that you're doing that is to like lose weight or like lose fat or get lean, you're going to be in for a pretty significant disappointment. More of the stuff that you're kind of looking for here is as far as like supplements go, like metformin could help you, thyroid hormone could help you, stimulant diet drugs could help you. The most simple of which is ephedrine, caffeine. Insulin control can help you. So that's metformin or a low carb diet. Low carb diet is a hormone manipulation diet to eliminate the storage hormone insulin from being in your body much, which makes it far more easy to lose weight because then the storage hormone isn't pushing everything in your blood into your cells. Instead, what's in your blood can just kind of get excreted. So, really what you should do is, a lot of times, if guys are 300 pounds and they start losing weight, they can kind of look kind of like scrawny at the end, or like they kind of like lost a lot of muscle mass and shit. And it's not really a good look. So what you can do is like get on TRT or get on like 500 milligrams of testosterone, something like that. And that'll hold all your muscle so that you can just diet and get lean and do cardio and shit. And you won't like just like wither away, you'll hold all your muscle and you'll just burn the fat off, like kind of like what you're looking to do, And if you're 300 pounds, you probably already got like a bunch of muscle. Cause like, dude, people who are like fat, they're seriously buff, like they've got to carry around all that fat all day, and that builds a lot of muscle, that's a lot of resistance. So, what I would if it was me, I would take the testosterone 250 to 500 milligrams per week, And, Tabata training, highly recommended to get yourself conditioned. High intensity interval training, Tabata interval training works very good. It works the best when you're doing it with weights. You can do it with a bike, you can do it, running or whatever. But doing your cardio, doing your high intensity interval training, cardio with weights works the best by far. All right. It puts you in a metabolic condition where, your metabolism hormonally is really wanting to shed weight. Okay. So that, and then eat a diet that's mostly meat, mostly vegetables, a little bit of carbs, especially around your workout to help you be able to work out hard. Eat some carbs, eat some inner workout sugars. And, that should really get you going good. If you want to get, a little freaky with it, you could add in some thyroid hormone. You could add in a little bit of clenbuterol. Maybe you'd take a little, maybe you'd even get a little ephedrine and caffeine going on there, to play around with some stimulants a little bit. But yeah. I mean, that I just now gave you kind of like a more realistic pathway for what you're trying to do. And it's not going to be, well, just get on tren, man, because tren burns fat. It's going to be disappointing, actually. If you've got a lot of fat to burn and you're like, well, I'm just going to get on tren and that's going to like burn all my fat off. And if you got 10 pounds of fat to burn and that's it, then yeah, you could get on tren and that'll burn it off. But if you got a significant amount, that's not going to do it. Okay. Brandon asks, hey, Dan, just read up on your steroid ebook, Ultimate Guide to ROIDS. I wanted to pick your brain about some ways to prevent too much liver toxicity from running Superdrol. What would you suggest some supplements or just running some Test E shortly after with an AI after my Superdrol cycle? Okay, so yeah, this is the supplements that I'd recommend, okay? So a lot of the liver problems that could happen on steroids or the toxicity, you're not really going to get so many like liver problems, but you can experience toxicity, definitely, which makes you tired, which makes you feel like shit, which makes you feel dysphoric, maybe dizzy a bit. And so a lot of that is from what's called like cholestasis, which is where you get bad bile in your liver. And the bile, it gets kind of stuck in the gallbladder and in the ducts that run from the gallbladder down through the liver into the small intestine. It's called cholestasis. And the bile in there is not good bile. It's unhealthy bile. And so what works really good for solving that or preventing it or making it take longer for that process to happen is to take TUDCA, T-U-D-C-A, TUDCA, 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day. This is good liver bile, and it goes in there and it replaces the bad liver bile and keeps the good liver bile in there. Okay, so that's very, very effective with like oral steroids, liver toxicity in general, okay, from steroids. And then the other one is to take N-acetylcysteine, 600 to 1,200 milligrams per day. N-acetylcysteine is the antidote for acute liver poisoning. If that's what you get and you go to the hospital and you've got like liver failure and they're trying to like save your life or save your liver, they're going to be giving you N-acetylcysteine to try and help you, okay? Because it kind of rescues the liver cells a bit. And, normally you'll have a reservoir of L-glutathione, which is what N-acetylcysteine turns into when it hits your liver. And the L-glutathione gets used up to deal with toxins. And then after that reservoir is gone, now what starts dealing with toxins is the actual liver cell instead of the L-glutathione antioxidant. And then when the liver cell's dealing with the toxin, then it dies when it gets too stressed out. Okay. And so then you start getting cell death in your liver. And then once enough of that starts happening, then your liver's getting pretty fucked up. So, the N-acetylcysteine, it's a great one. It's a great one. It's what they use in the hospital. Okay. And then if we go the extra mile, I've said this before. I said I didn't want it to work, but it does work. Okay. Is the soy lecithin with a standardized choline extract in it, okay? So I didn't want it to work because it comes from soy, okay? But this stuff, choline, it fucking works, okay? And if you look at the studies behind it, it does work, okay? But I noticed it anecdotally. So I read all about the studies and everything, and I was like, oh, I don't want this stuff to work, but I'm going to use it because, it sounds so good. And then it did work for me, It actually only took 3 days before, like, my freaking eyes and my skin, even my feet turned whiter. And there was no denying it either. It was a total difference. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't deny this. And so, ever since after that, I've been a fan of it and I've supported it. And basically what choline does, which is the active ingredient in the soy lecithin, is it acts as armor for your liver cells. It programs them against apoptosis or cell death. So it just makes them stronger and makes them more resilient to stressors, okay, to toxins without dying. And it does a damn good job of it, okay? So that's that. Okay, next question. Brother Tom asks, hey Dan, love the podcast and book. I have a question. I started my first cycle and have been injecting 100 milligrams of testosterone propionate and NPP every other day for about 2 weeks. Now all of a sudden my quad, where I've been injecting, has swollen massively to the point where I cannot get out of bed. I just want to know if there is any chance of internal bleeding or anything serious to worry about. Yeah, bro. Yeah, so this is kind of the situation that I got into, because it's like we're men and we don't want to go to the doctor. And it's like, no, I'll just fucking handle it. So, like with my leg thing, what I noticed, how it first started, I had my bad leg infection where I almost lost my leg. Which thank God it, completely healed and I have complete use of my leg, no problems. But, that was a freaking miracle from God. And, so what happened with me is, at first I did the shot, and I was like, what the fuck? It felt like I injected acid into my leg, and like the pain was just so unreal, and then, it started swelling up, and then it wasn't going away. And then it was there, and I was like, had this abscess on my leg, and I was being like, well, no, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And then the skin dissolved on my leg. And, so now I had this fucking hole in my leg. And then I was like, okay, well, no, it's getting better now, no hole in my body or in my skin has ever not healed before. So then I put a bandage over it. And then I was pretending it didn't exist, and I wouldn't look at it all day because it would freak me out. And, more than a month went by, and I wasn't going to the doctor, and I still had this thing on my leg, right? Because I wasn't going to no doctor. Okay. It's delusional. Okay. It was totally delusional. And, eventually, I was in so much pain from this thing that, there was no way I could sleep without taking painkillers, man, because I had this freaking hole on my leg, a big hole on my leg, the size of the palm of my hand. But I was convinced, nothing has ever not healed on my body before. It's getting better. It's going to get better tomorrow. I think it's getting better. I'm going to give it 3 more days. It's getting better. I would keep on saying this stuff to myself. And, then one night I took the bandage off, and I just looked at it and I was like, reality just came to me. And I was like, man, it's not getting better. And I was like, I was like, I have to go to the doctor now. I have to go to the doctor now. And this was after, maybe 8 weeks after I had initially taken the injection, and I could have saved myself a lot of fucking heartache if I would have, just dropped my pride and not been like, oh my, I'm not going to the doctor. I can take care of this myself. I can find the right antibiotics to take myself. And, it's going to get better, and I don't need no doctor to look at it, and I'm just going to cover it up and pretend like I'm okay. I'm a man and I don't go to the doctor. All right. So there was a lot of fuck ups involved, there that then, resulted in me getting fucked. And, so, then I went to the doctor and, all the tissue there was all dead and they had to cut everything out. And then, they closed it back up, but it was such a huge thing that had happened that there was so much internal bleeding that the surgery then exploded, about an hour after I got out of the surgery. And then, they had to put they had to do another surgery to install a vacuum in my leg. And then after that was done for a while, then they had to do another surgery to, sew everything up and make this huge scar down my leg that's now like 16 inches long. Okay. So that was, woo, and then now if you look me up on the internet, Dan the bodybuilder in Thailand, you see like every major news corporation on earth with this big, thing about how, oh, that's the guy that almost lost his leg from a botched steroid injection. All right. So that's what I got. That's what I got from doing all that thing. So, you told me right now that it's swollen massively. You can't even get out of bed. And you just want to know if there's any chance of internal bleeding or anything serious to worry about. Brother Tom, go to the doctor right now, man. Go to the hospital. All right, next question. Harrison asks, hey, Dan, just spent the evening reading Ultimate Guide to ROIDS, your steroid Bible. Well worth the money. Thank you for creating the Holy Bible. I'm wanting to start my first cycle, however, I'm terrified of gyno. I'm thinking of blasting 700 milligrams of testosterone propionate, 100 milligrams daily. Should I use Nolvadex daily, also with it, and have letrozole and exemestane on the shelf, also just in case? And use exemestane when I feel symptoms of high estrogen. Have a great day, bro. Yeah, so, since you're really afraid of gyno and you've never used steroids before, I would start out at 100 milligrams of testosterone propionate every other day. And if you were good with that, you could control all the estrogen and everything was good, then you could up it to, twice the frequency, 100 milligrams every day, 700 milligrams per week. So starting out at 350 milligrams per week and then upping it, if you were good, because you're really afraid of this side effect and, taking higher testosterone dosages, you get more estrogen production. So you want to start at a more mild dose, since that's what you're real worried about. And, okay, you could take Nolvadex every day. That's not going to crash your estrogen because it's just a receptor blocker. It doesn't remove estrogen from the body like exemestane does, or bind it up and make it inactivated the way letrozole does. But I don't think you're going to have to do that. So the way that normally you want to just remove the total estrogen amount in your body. So you do that with an AI, not a blocker. So letrozole, exemestane, those are AIs. Those are aromatase inhibitors. They reduce the amount of estrogen in your body. Nolvadex doesn't reduce the amount of estrogen in your body. It just blocks the estrogen receptors so that the estrogen in your body doesn't have anything to act on. It doesn't have anything to connect with and transmit its signal. So the thing with the exemestane, letrozole, aromatase inhibitors, but exemestane, number one, is these things work fast. So they can be used with on-demand use. You can feel a difference if you are feeling an itchy, burning nipple or a painful nipple. You can feel a difference 45 minutes later after taking a tablet of exemestane, okay? And so this stuff works fast and it works for on-demand use. So it works really good, and, if you want to reduce your total estrogen level in your body, not just, block the receptors and hide from the estrogen in your body. So normally you want to use exemestane, or an AI in general as like that first line for preventing gyno. And the other thing is that gyno doesn't, especially permanent gyno, okay? It doesn't just, you don't go to bed one night and, cause I remember too, before I took steroids, I was worried about this. I was really worried about this actually. Gyno was a big concern for me. And you don't just go to bed one night and then the next morning you wake up and it's like, boom, I've got gyno in my nipple and it's developed and it's hard and it's a rock and it's never going away. That's not how it works. It takes, once you get gyno symptoms, it has to set in. And that takes like really 48 to 72 hours of continued problems at the minimum, okay? It's going to take that much or longer of you having problems with the nipple before there's any kind of like permanent set in where you can't just remove it, by taking antiestrogens. So you can calm down some of your anxiety about that, because it's not going to be something that just, jumps on you and and there was nothing you could do and it came out of the blue. It's something where it's like, oh, well, if you weren't prepared, if you didn't have the stuff on hand, so then you got the symptoms and you weren't able to remove the symptoms in a timely manner, then, it's maybe been, 5 days and you've continued having these symptoms and you didn't have the stuff on hand already to remove it. And so you were trying to get the antiestrogens that you thought you didn't need for the cycle or whatever. And, so now you had like this estrogen thing going on with your nipple for 5 days or something. Now you've got it set in. Now you've got something permanent. Okay. So I would say, you don't need to use letrozole or Nolvadex daily. And it's not even a problem, if you get some sensitive nipple. And then that's when you take the exemestane. That's actually how I use it myself, is I don't take exemestane on any kind of schedule. I don't take exemestane, just for the hell of it. I take it if I notice an estrogen symptom. Then I go, oh, I need to take some exemestane. And then I take the exemestane, and in an hour, maximum 3 hours, but honestly, in an hour, the symptoms are gone. So that's kind of how gyno works in the real world. All right, and the last question for today. Pooty asks, bro, what do you think about HCG on a cruise? Been looking through your YouTube videos and thought you said you always ran it, because nuts shrunk pretty good this time, barely blowing loads, and wife wants to get pregnant. Yeah, I like to use HCG when I'm on steroids. Yeah, I don't use it all the time, but I use it at least 6 months a year. After a while, you just get sick of it. You're like, I don't want to have these shrunk nuts and stuff, because it's no one wants that. People make, you can like, you can do like the rich piano thing and be like, make the most or the best of a bad situation and be like, oh, the dick is lower than the balls or whatever, right? But no one wants that. You want your nuts to be the right size, and you don't want them to be like right up next to your body, like that they're not creating any sperm like that. So I like to use HCG like basically all the time or as much as possible. And like 250 IUs 2 or 3 times a week, subcutaneous shot works really well in solving that problem, so that your nuts are still working and they're not like little squirrel nuts or something. And the other thing is that like testicular atrophy is progressive. So, if your first couple years of steroids use, it might not shrink very much unless you use Tren or Deca, because then it makes it pretty much instantly shrink like 50%. But even if you're not using those and you use it, for a long time, 5 years or something like that, you're going to get progressive nut shrinking. And it's going to get to the point where it's like they're 30% or so of like your normal size before you started taking steroids. That's no fun. Nobody wants that. So, HCG always works. HCG works whether you're on cycle, whether you're off cycle, whether you're on a cruise. If you've got HCG in the system, that shit's communicating directly with your testicles and making them work. Okay. And another thing is that if you are not having a lot of semen production because of taking steroids, it fixes that too. Okay. So I like HCG a lot.
All right. So that's going to be the last question for the podcast today. It was fun talking to you guys, and I'll be coming up with another episode for you guys real soon here. So make sure to go pick up Ultimate Guide to ROIDS, 109-page ebook by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. If you just go to bodybuilderinthailand.com, it's I think it's the first article on the homepage where you can check it out and read like 20 pages. It's definitely worth it. It's my best content. If you like the podcast, the book will blow you away.